Hello, and may the fourth be with you. We're here for a special report here. We got a couple reviews here. I wish there was something more interesting to talk about, but here we are. We're talking about Tales of the Jedi, or I guess it's the Empire and the Underworld. We've, I think we did one on Tales of the Jedi, and that was by far the most interesting one. I feel like
We
so.
might have said something about it in the podcast, but I don't think we've ever did like a full review on it.
Yeah, I think we did, but we definitely talked about it. Um, so yeah, we got so there was we did Tales of the Empire came out last year. We didn't watch it, um, and that's these are the shorts, and they're like 15-minute episodes. And there's three episodes about each character, and they're little mini movies basically. Um, There was the Tales of the Empire is about Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Ophi, and then the Tales of the Underworld was about Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress. So we'll talk about each of them individually, but I think some of them will be longer talked about than others. There was one clear one that was interesting for me, and that was the one about the one who's a Jedi, basically. So um, the one, okay, so let's talk about the one about Morgan Elsbeth first. Get that out of the way. I thought it was really boring because I don't think the character's interesting at all. I didn't need her backstory, and her backstory was not in. There was there's no real turn or anything. She was always seemed to be bad, and I didn't see any point to tell her backstory, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, she was. Yeah, there was no turn to the dark side or anything. Pretty much just bad. Um, and then there was really no revelation to anything of her stuff. It was
Yeah,
just like, here's an origin story that we really didn't need. And
and they
unfortunately, that's kind of the key. Like, that's for a
thing.
lot of these. It's just an
Yeah,
origin that we never really wanted.
I mean, you can't set up. It's like they try to make her almost sympathetic, but she's not sympathetic. Like they give you these characters for 2 seconds, and so you don't care about them when they die or whatever. For people. Every villain in Star Wars seems to be like somebody dying is like their reasoning for things, and it's like I don't care about these characters that I met literally a minute ago because they only do 15-minute episodes. So it's like eh like just someone dying isn't that sad.
Well, even she didn't even care about who died.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, why should I care?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean they showed, and with Morgan, by the way, we're just going to be completely spoilers in this. I don't think,
Yeah, yeah, we're in full spoilers or not.
I mean, you're gonna watch. If you're gonna watch it, you're gonna watch it. If you're not, you're not. I mean, um, but yeah. I mean, I think so. I'm at like a 4 for the Morgan story here.
A four? Dang.
I was severely bored. I was nodding off watching it.
Okay. Um.
There was no good action. There wasn't like any like. I mean,
Yeah.
I
But that
mean, it
dirt
was
though.
yeah, like the dirt looked really, really well animated. That she
Yeah.
punches, it's like okay,
Yeah. That's one thing I'll say about the entire series is they've really stepped up their animation gain, or I don't know what they did since Clone
yeah,
Wars. I guess it's just gotten better, but definitely shows. But it still doesn't make this arc particularly interesting. I was probably like at a five. I can easily see the four. I think it's a fair assumption. Um, yeah, I think we both wish the character was more interesting, so there was something to look forward to
I
her
should,
in the
ye-
upcoming series. But yeah,
I yeah, I think that I mean, I'm not even a big fan of Ahsoka. I thought Ahsoka was kind of boring, and they set up things that I didn't care about. Like I didn't watch Rebels or whatever, but Morgan is like the most uninteresting character. One of the most uninteresting villains that they've ever did for Star Wars. I mean, there's a villain character like the villain character in the Tales of the Underworld. Both of those villain characters are more interesting. I'm not even like a huge Cad Bane fan or whatever, but he's infinitely more interesting than Morgan Elsbeth. So, and we'll talk about him later. So the other half of this one was more interesting because it was about a Jedi was Barris Ophi. The I liked the story until the end. The ending was lame, um, and um, yeah, so I just didn't like the ending. The ending kind of ruined it for me.
which
Um,
one are we talking about here?
Barris
Sorry.
Ophi,
Oh,
the
Barisov.
third
Right.
episode in hers was when she was older, and they it's the problem. The problem with this is right is Order 66 happens right, and these characters because of Order 66 and because they can't show up right, they can't show up later. You're shoot yourself in the foot because then these characters have to just be in hiding or become I don't know what she was doing like a farmer or something like you can only bench all these characters. So if there's a cool Jedi like the Jedi in the Jedi Fallen Order the games, that character, you can only go so far with him. Like he can't
Yeah.
like show up unless they decide to put him in the movies or something, which I don't think they're gonna do. So there's only so much you can do with these characters, these Jedi that could be cool and could have a cool arc, but then you can't do anything with them because you have to keep them in hiding or whatever. Eh, So I mean, unless you wanted to put them in Andor or something, which they're not going to do. So it's like it's you know I don't know what you would call it. It's frustrating. You're watching these shows, and but the story isn't good enough to because they can only go so far with the characters. Um,
Yeah.
with hers, it's more interesting because you get like more of the Jedi stuff, and I like the Jedi stuff. So I would say this one was like this half for Bear Sophie was like a 6.
Mm.
Um,
I was still out of five.
I thought
Uh,
this was above average. I thought the first couple episodes were interesting. I mean, you got some Darth Vader. Um, I mean,
it's true.
but it's just yeah, it's just not yeah because the ending just she was just in hiding forever, and then the Inquisitor lady comes to find her, and then she dies, and not in a like a interesting way either. Just not even like a fight, just dies.
I still don't even know if she actually died there because she
Yeah, I
like carried
guess.
her out. Getting stabbed in the gut means nothing to Star Wars anymore. So
hmm Yeah, I
I
guess
mean,
it's true.
there's a small possibility, but I don't think anyone's wanting this character to show up in Andor or something like that, anyways.
I know,
So
but like I'm saying with these Jedi's, like you have to
yeah,
bench them, and
yeah.
it's yeah. Tell me about why can't make up a new character and put it like way in the past with and be a Jedi? Like they did the terrible acolyte. You can do old, pick a Jedi character from way before. I mean, you don't have to
Yeah.
pick a Filoni character.
Well, I mean, I think that's what Visions is basically for, something different but outside the box. But
Yeah, but those
I
aren't
think
canon. Those are just
yes, I know they're not canon, and they're not gonna. If they do something like that, it's going to become canon, right? And then it becomes a show. It doesn't become a tales of whatever, right? This is like meant to be short stories to help finish off some of the characters that didn't get finished off, and or give them origins for some reason. Um, yeah,
yeah. I don't know if it just doesn't if it doesn't add anything to them. It I don't think it's I think it's worthless. The the whole um the whole Tales of the Empire will be good old average out to a 5. So
yeah,
yeah,
very sad. Yes,
not
yes.
great.
I think the Empire one was lesser than the Underworld one. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Tales of the Underworld. Now we had one about Cad Bane and we had the one about Asajj. Now Cad Bane is a character that I have very little backstory for. I've seen a couple episodes with him in it. I know he's a bounty hunter. I know he's cool in that show. Everything I've seen not from that show is pretty lame for Cad there.
Yep.
Um, and I think they had something, and at least I got a more interesting backstory for this character. But just the ending was you were like, what? Why? Like, what's the
Hmm.
point? And then it's not gonna go anywhere unless they do another one about Cad Bane, which I doubt they would do. So it's like you're just giving. I mean, like, what? He's like a bad father. Like, I don't understand what the point of that was.
I mean, I think it's just to put him where he is in the Clone Wars, right? But I honestly feel like they didn't even like. Why is he so angry for no reason? It's just even when he was a kid, they made him seem a little greedy, but he was never angry and like, oh, I must get revenge. I guess maybe that's what that guy taught him, the other guy. But
Yeah,
they don't show that, and then say they just make him like a angry guy in the end. And he even in the Clone Wars, he's not angry. He's just there to do a job, and he doesn't care where the job's from as long as it pays. That's like he's a bounty hunter. That's like his thing.
yeah,
And I just it doesn't even match up with his character. That's what bothers me the most. So
yeah. And I'm seeing this backstory, and then I know how he his story ends, and it's like his end of his story was lame. So I'm like, I'm getting more lore on this guy, and I think the lore is kind of weird. And then I, I mean, then I know that
yeah, you
it
know where
ends
the
lame.
end result is. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I could say that for Dooku, but I mean, because I know where Dooku's story ends, and his ending was kind of lame. But I don't know how they made that Tales of the Jedi with that episode on Dooku where he turns. That is so well done. And then every one of these is like weird, and the endings are stuck like sucky. I just don't get it. Um, I kind of liked his relationship with his like childhood friend, and they set up characters that were actually somewhat compelling. It's just the ending was so lame and weird. Um, so yeah, that makes it like a 6. This could have been really good if they could have like done an ending that made any sense. Um, yeah, because
Yeah.
it like that never comes up, and I'm
Yeah,
assuming that
well,
never
it had
comes
to be
up
an
for Kit.
origin that had nothing to do with him anymore because then it would have came up later, right? So,
Well, yeah, but we're also not. We're also not. Do we know that this is during, like, before the Clone Wars? Like, we don't even know when this takes place. You know what I mean? This could be later. I don't know.
oh, this is definitely before Clone Wars.
Okay,
Definitely.
so I don't know. Yeah, I'm at like a 6 for that one.
I don't want to give everything a five, but yeah, I'm between a six and a five. I don't think it was an uninteresting story. I feel like the action was pretty lackluster as well. A lot of stuff
It's
just
just a
happens off
western.
screen. Yeah,
It's literally a
but
western.
westerns can be really cool. I don't know
They
why you
even
make it
have. They
a
literally
bad thing.
have a duel at noon. I mean, it's literally a western.
Yeah, yeah, I'm at a five, but yeah,
Oh, okie dokie. That's fine. I don't care.
yeah, no,
Um,
I know.
all right. Now the most interesting one was Asajj Ventress. I liked the first two episodes, and I thought the third episode was boring. Um,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
the resolution was lackluster. Um,
yep.
they made it seem like it was something that was going to happen, and then they were like, "Nah, don't need it." It
Yeah.
was more about the adventure than the end result on that one.
Well, the thing about Asajj is that her story is open ended, so you could do something with it. So, I mean, that's good at least. But I mean, we don't know what happens. Are they going to do more about her? Maybe in the, you know, down the road. Maybe. Uh, now,
I wouldn't
I
mind
think,
it when you want that.
yeah, I
Would
think
you like that?
she is. I I think she is a character that is interesting. She's like one of probably the best for me. I think probably the best one of those characters from the the Filoni characters. I think she's the most interesting one. Um, I know people like Ahsoka, but I actually think Asajj is actually the most interesting. Um, I always like a kind of like a fallen Jedi kind of thing is interesting to me, and that come
I
around.
really like Ahsoka, but I'm not really the biggest fan of the direction they took her in,
Hmm?
smashing her with the Rebels crew. I don't like that choice. I don't like what they chose with to do with like Sabine and all them. I don't know. I still like Ahsoka. It's just I don't like what they took with all of that. We'll see where it goes, but yeah. But if Asajj goes anywhere, that's where she's going. She's going into that universe. So if they do end up doing anything with her, I think it'd be really cool to see a live action version of her. Um, if it's done well. I even think Ahsoka, the actress who did her well. It's just I don't really like the storyline.
Yeah, I didn't really like Ahsoka. I thought Ahsoka was fine. You were higher on it, but I also think you like Ad, what's his name, Ezra, and you like
I
those
do
characters
like
and
them
stuff.
in Rebels. Like I'm saying, I don't like where they took them. We'll see.
Yeah,
That's still
yeah,
incomplete. So
yeah. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I liked the new character that they introduced in this for her, the Jedi character. Um, yeah, just the resolution is lackluster because there really isn't one. Um, because it's like open ended. So, um, but I still think this was much better, um, and the action was pretty good. And yeah, I just thought it was just better written, and it felt like a Clone Wars episode, to be honest. Um,
Mm, what would
so
you rate this one?
I'll probably give it like a 7.
Yeah, I'm at a 7 or 6. Yeah, it's definitely of these ones. It's the only one I'll probably remember.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
but it's also just because it's better, a little bit better. So yeah, for Tales of the Underworld, I'd probably give it like a 6 overall.
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I do think they should make a show with this animation. Yeah, I think you're right. Get away from everything. Get away from Skywalkers. Get away from Clone Wars. Make something new and original, and I think it'll be interesting. And the animation is gorgeous, so I think that would be enough as long as they told a compelling story.
Well, we're getting that sort of with the Visions spin-off thing
Oh
and
yeah, that's
stuff.
true. That's true.
So let's hope they're good. I mean that was some good stuff. So um, we'll see how it goes. I'm worried about those. I think those. I think that's later this year. I think like September or something. So
Well, we'll
we'll
definitely be
probably.
checking that out.
I'm sure we'll check it out. Exactly. Star Wars is definitely in a slump right now. We'll see how. I mean, The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out next year, and the year after that Ryan Gosling movie. Apparently, they have asked like a whole bunch of people, Mikey Madison and other actors and stuff, and they're like, nope, not interested. So we'll see how they're gonna have apparently one male and one female villain in that movie with Ryan Gosling. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, better Star Wars stuff on the horizon. Um, I mean, last year the Tales of the Empire wasn't that great, and this year Tales of the Underworld was a little bit better. So hopefully, it's just only up from here. I
True,
heard,
true.
I
Yeah.
hear Andor's good. I don't know.
I've watched a few.
Okay, I've I've heard that the back half, the as it goes along, gets more interesting. I will tell you, I nodded off a little bit in that first episode. So,
That's fair.
but I also wasn't like a tremendous fan. I liked Andor, but people were like, you know, had a
It's just one of those things. It was a small bright spot in a dark tunnel, and
yeah.
they
People
clinged
have a
on to it.
hard on for that. I'll tell you. Anyway, all right. Well,
All right.
that's our review here. Check it out if you like Star Wars. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna check it out. If you're not, you're casual. You probably won't. But that's okay.
Yeah. I think that wraps up our episode. We'll see you guys on the next one. Until then.
May the force be with you. Thank you for watching part of the Daniel and Andrew Show. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. If you don't like looking at our faces, no problem. There's always a full audio version of the podcast wherever you find your podcast. Thank you and enjoy.